been fun, trying, tiring, stressful. Any adjective that you could find, it has been that, at least for me.
I'm still in the beginning of it. My baby's one, I'm
Yeah.
still in the beginning of it.
But like even like when you found out you were going to be a mom, like how were you feeling? What were your emotions about that?
I was actually depressed, like,
Yeah?
yeah, it wasn't like, I was like super excited, like I knew like when I was pregnant, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't wanna go too into details about it, but like I knew that I was pregnant and I don't know, like, I knew that I was pregnant and
Okay.
Oh, he's probably watching
okay,
the
but
video. You just have to turn it back.
no, it was just a word echo. But anywho, I knew that I was pregnant. I don't know if it was like the circumstances that kind of led to me being depressed, but I was definitely depressed in that first trimester, which the first trimester already affects everything, like your hormones, like your emotion, your sleep. Like, I mean, I slept pretty well, but I was just, I was depressed. And like prior to even getting pregnant, like I was never like clinically diagnosed with depression, but depression was definitely something that I struggled with a lot throughout my early teens into my adulthood. I feel like now I have a better handle of it. I don't want to say it's because of counseling, but I did go to counseling, you know.
Awesome.
But that ultimately, like counseling ultimately led me back to like, okay, like I really just need to focus on a relationship with God. Like I really just need to get serious. And yeah, but depression definitely has, and you know, parent or that, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I've had many bouts and you know, with depression, so.
So when did you seek counseling? During your pregnancy or afterwards?
Not even during my pregnancy, like after I wasn't, no, definitely I was depressed because of circumstantial, you know, reasons that kind of cause, you know, the depression. I don't know that it was so much, I mean, your hormones are kind of wacky as it is when you are pregnant. Like, I won't say for every woman, or
No,
I don't know.
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, but I can only speak for myself,
Right.
you know. So, you know, just moody, or, you know, things were just heightened. That's the best word I can say, use. Like, things were just heightened for me. So, I was just high and low, so, I mean, that makes sense. Like, my emotions, or just not handling situations that I think that I would cope with better, or, you know, just kind of stepping outside of myself, like, body changing. And I loved being pregnant. Like, I didn't, you know, it wasn't like a negative thing about me being pregnant or my body changing. Like, I embraced it, I loved it. You know, it's what makes a woman, you know, like, to be able to carry a human being. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, after having her, like, I went through postpartum depression, and again, I just think it was just not really knowing what to expect, and being frustrated and not thinking that what I was doing was helping or good enough. So, and I'm like my biggest critic. I'm in my head all the time. So like that doesn't help when I'm not really seeking or combating those negative thoughts that come. I think, you know, with postpartum, because I think like when it's your first time, so I feel like moms all go through it, but you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, so
And
it's frustrating.
yeah, and I feel like you can't really ever be prepared. Like you feel like you can read all the books, you can go to all the classes, you can sit in with grandma, mom, aunties, everybody, and you know that one thing that didn't happen to anybody else will happen to you, and it's like, okay, how do I navigate through this? So
it's surrender. Like you really have to surrender to like the unknown of like what comes with, you know, parenthood.
Right, and that is so hard because like you said, hormones, like you are a different person, and it's like, oh, I was just this way a few weeks ago, and it's like progressively as you're going through the 9 months, it's like you're continuously, you know, your body's changing, your thoughts are changing because you're trying to navigate the future while dealing with the present and dealing with the fact that you're no longer, like, that was one thing that was really big for me. Like, I was so like, all right, these 9 months after I have this baby, I can go back to being myself. And like, literally no one told me like, okay, that's a figment of your imagination. Like, you will never be the same. Like,
No.
you will never be the same. You know what I mean? Like, you now have this human that you're responsible for.
And it's so funny because I had seen like a post or a video on YouTube of a mom talking about her first experience dealing with postpartum, and she's just like, I don't even know this person.
Right.
Like, I don't even know you, and I'm expected to take care of you, to
Right.
wake up at your beck and call, and it's real. Like, I've always been a sleeper, like a 12-hour plus
Oh my
sleeper. Like, I
gosh.
could sleep, like,
Whew.
I just slept, and things have changed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then having her, like, obviously, they wake up every couple hours, and, like, I pumped, and that was just, so, like, just, like, yeah, that, not getting your sleep, like, what?
Yeah. Like, who are you to take my, I mean. Oh man, it's like, and then there are those moments where resentment can, you know, creep up, because it's like, no, literally, like, you've taken all of this from me. You've taken, you are a leech, and what can I do but only care for you, you know? Can you identify with any of that stuff? Like, just like, so that transition.
When I found out I was pregnant the first time, because I have 2 kids, I didn't know I was pregnant for the longest. Like,
Like, how far into
he
your
knew immediately.
Okay.
But
Were you
I-
in denial?
No, I just didn't know, right?
Okay.
So we took a test, came out negative. We took another just in case, like maybe it's just wrong, negative. Went to the doctor because he was convinced. So we went to the doctor, took a test there, came out negative. So then I'm like, okay, something's clearly wrong with me, because if you look up the symptoms of pregnancy away from pregnancy, you're dying. Like, so I was like freaking out. I'm like, maybe I'm not taking care of myself, like something's gotta go. So I went to school, I dropped out of college because I'm like, something's obviously wrong with me and I'm not paying enough care, because at the time I was working and schooling.
Wow.
So I'm like, no, obviously I'm doing too much. And then the moment I dropped everything, finally got a positive result. Yo, and I was like, yo, where was this
Wow.
2 weeks ago? I could have stayed in school, like it's like, you know, like
Right.
muscled it out, or so, at least tried
Yeah.
to talk to my teacher and be like, okay, this is the reason I'm absent all the time.
Mhm.
Like I'm literally throwing up before class. I thought it's because I didn't want to be here, but it's actually I'm creating a whole person. Like
Yes.
it was very dramatic. And then so then we get to the OBGYN, and they're like, okay, you got your positive result. We're just gonna do the ultrasound. And you know, there's 2. There's the one that goes up and the one that goes over.
Yes.
So because I've had so many negatives, they're like thinking it's early, so
Right.
they do the up one.
Transvaginal,
And then she immediately pulls it out, and I'm like, what's wrong? Like, she's like, I'll show you in a second. And that time period of like, she didn't answer me, and now I'm freaking out because
Yes.
2 days ago I thought I was dying.
Wow.
And like, so then she goes over the top, and it was a whole baby. And I literally, those are the words I said, and I was like, that's a whole baby. She had hands, feet, a head. She was a
So you
whole
were
baby. And I was like crying, and AJ was laughing at me, talking about, I told you, doctors don't know, I know, I told you you were pregnant. And I'm like, yo, I didn't know.
Wow.
So then I text my sisters, and I went home and I told them, and they're like, yeah, duh. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you've been hibernating. Like,
Wow.
I would just go
Oh yeah, that
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's
like
probably the best
sleep, and I would
sleep. Yeah.
sleep all day, like wake up, sleep, wake up and getting tired from sleeping. Like, you know, you did nothing, like roll over and you're out of breath. Like pregnancy
Yeah.
was the worst time for me. Like, and the baby, like once I knew she was there, it was like she was getting her comeuppance. Like she was attacking me. Like I was hurt every day.
Oh, man.
Unless he was literally there with his hand on me, she would hurt me. She would be hitting my organs, resting her foot on stuff. She was a terrible baby. Like, and so like I would be like angry because she would be hurting me. Like I would be mad at him for doing regular people things like going to work. Like how dare you go to work when I'm dying? Like and then the like cravings were like dramatic cravings. Like one night I went to sleep and I had a dream about donuts. And I woke up and there were no donuts. And I was bawling. I was bawling, crying. He was at work. I called my father like, I had a dream I had donuts. There was no donuts. Yo, you would have thought someone was attacking, like murdered my whole. Yo, I was not okay.
I didn't have any like cravings or anything like that.
No.
Like, no.
I ate full meals at like 8 in the morning. Like I was having like rice and chicken.
You wanted food.
Yeah, and oh man, I mean I'm not surprised because that kid, man, she ate.
Looking back at it.
I think about it, I was like, what? And so I mean, she was projected to be this huge baby. Really, I ended up having her early, but man, like, cause when I had her, I think like 6-7 weeks early. She was premature and she was 5 pounds though. So like they were like, yo, if you had cooked all the way through, you would have had a 10-pound baby. I was like, well, thank the Lord.
God's good.
She was coming at this time. Good time
She
to be
looked
here.
out for me for sure. She did. But man, I know after she got here, it was just like even like when they took her out and put her on me, I'm like, man, whew, yes. This is great. I felt like you could feel like the change in your body just a little bit.
I felt like a boy, like walking around the hospital.
Man, I was like, oh, I'm back. Yes. Like,
She said, "Ooh, I'm
I'm
back."
back. Like she's out. Like okay. Because she was born early, she was in the she was in the NICU. So I was in my room by myself and I was like rolling over. I was like, oh my gosh, you can sleep on my stomach. This is great. Like,
that's one thing I
it was
did.
good. Yeah,
sleeping on my stomach.
Oh my gosh, that was
Especially when
great.
she got big.
Yeah.
Because I didn't show for a while. Like my belly.
Me
I feel
either.
like towards like my 5th month is when I started to like have a belly.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, like even that, I'm just like, oh, like I felt away when the belly was gone, but I felt great about it. I felt away about her being in NICU, but I was so glad to like be able to sleep, like you know. But taking her home, that was like culture shock for sure. Got her in the car, and I'm just like, yo, I'm a whole mom, and yeah, so that's when things kind of like started to like, oh god. What am I doing? Like, you know, the first night of like being alone and her wanting to feed, 2 hours in, and then 2 hours in again. I was like, yo, I can't sleep? Oh, snap. I really can't sleep.
When
Like,
I got home, Tamara did not want to like nurse from me, and I'm just like, so that made me really sad because I'm just like, we were just fine. And it's like now I can't get you to latch. Like that made me sad.
That was
So
hard too, yeah.
it was like, and then I was obsessing over pumping. I was pumping so much milk. Like, I produce so much milk, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
There's some moms who just can't produce that milk, and there I was stressing. And it's so funny. Like, I love my pastor, my uncle. He called me and he was just like, how you doing? Just calling to check in on you. I'm just like, I'm doing okay, you know, I'm doing fine. He's just like, Shay, how are you really doing? And I'm just like, I just, like, she won't feed and I'm obsessing and this and that, like, and he's just like, you're doing great. Like, you delivered a healthy baby. Is she eating something? I'm like, I mean, yeah, but, you know, in my mind, how I want things to go. And he's just like, be grateful for this.
Right.
You know, focus on this.
Right.
Just get some rest, you know, don't be so like trying to control the situation down to a
Right.
T, because again, like babies, they really do what they want. Like,
Yeah, they
you're on
do.
their time.
They
You're on
absolutely
their
do.
time.
Like, you are just there. But how amazing is it, like, to have those people in your life who can do those check-ins and you can actually tell them what's going on, you know, without, oh yeah, I'm great, and then moving on, like, for them to know that you're not doing well and to press just a little bit, and then for you to be able to give them that extra, like, all right, let me confess, let me tell you what's really going on. Who was that for you? I mean, primarily.
Uncle Mark, he reached out, checked in. My husband, he was a great help. Even though it was just a lot of tension because it's like I wanted things done my way, and he would do what I asked, but I think it's just, I don't know, that obsessiveness, or I don't really know what it was, but you're not doing it right, let me do it, so it'll just get done if I do it. So I was overworking myself and just delivering a baby, like.
Right, and technically you ain't know what you was doing
I
either,
know,
so.
so I'm scared. So I'm just like, have to man some slack. So it's like,
Yeah.
that was a lot of like stress on me, like just, it was unnecessary stress that I was like creating. But I also had, Nisi, my sisters, my mom, she came. Matter of fact, the day that I brought my baby home, something was wrong with Larry's car, my husband. Something was wrong with his car. My mom had to come and, get us and bring us home. So she made sure that I was good. She helped get things situated, and so I definitely had a team with me, and I wasn't alone. Even though like I would just kind of like, oh, I got everything, but
Yeah.
like after having a baby, you really do need help. Like
You do.
you need that village, like,
You really do.
and shout out to the single moms, like, because it's, even with help, it's still hard, and some people, they don't got it, like, they don't have, like, they didn't have it like me. I can say that because I really did have a army and a team behind me. Like my grandmother, she would make sure that I had something to eat. Different ones will call and check in and ask me if I needed anything. So yeah, like I had the help. I had the support.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like definitely carry a lot of the load, like just feeling like I got it under control. It's better, just keeping things in.
Yeah.
Thinking in my mind like, oh, it's not as bad as Until
Right.
somebody really asks you, ever like get ready to cry, and then when somebody asks you, are you okay? And then like you just start bawling,
Yeah.
like
Ugh.
not allowing it to get to that point. But I definitely had support, and that is definitely helpful. Because I don't know if anyone's exempt from postpartum, because they say postpartum is like the first 2 years after having your baby, and it looks different for everyone. I think, and I think that it also hits you in different stages. Because you
Absolutely.
see some moms, they really do bounce back, and it looks like they have it all together, but like
Right.
it just may not hit them when it hits you. It may
Right.
not be as soon as you have the baby, because there's moms that have the baby and like, I don't want this child.
Yeah.
And that's a part of postpartum depression, like that sense of losing yourself, or
Right.
can't speak on that because I didn't feel like I didn't know my baby, but there's definitely different extremes of postpartum depression.
Well, if I'm being fully honest, I went through the I don't want my baby phase, and look at those emotions. Those are crazy. And it wasn't so much that like I didn't want her. It just felt like she wasn't mine, and it was like that's his baby. Like, yeah, we made it. Like I was there, obviously, but like when it came down to what I felt was important, if ever we disagreed, we went with his idea, because I don't have my mom, and there's a huge gap in between my father being there. Like he was there, then he wasn't there, and I was back, but there was a huge gap. So I didn't have the same supports that he did. And yeah, everybody likes, we're married, we're one family, and yeah, I get that. But at the end of the day, those are your parents, those are your aunts, those are your sisters, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's your side of the family,
Right.
and they're helping, and the advice is mostly coming from your side. It really feels like this is y'all baby, and I watch her, and I feed her, and you know, Easter comes and you buy the dresses. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just do her hair, and then I send her to sit with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I went through like a few years feeling like a babysitter. Like my own baby was not mine, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I had a second daughter, and it was like, people see how we raised our first daughter and they give you more leeway. Like, cause your first kid, like you guys are saying, everyone assumes you don't know what you're doing. Like, but my children were not my first time being around children. Ever since I was in 5th grade, I knew I wanted kids. And I used to have the weirdest conversations with my friends, like doing studies, like, okay, how much did you get spanked? Would you rather get spanked or time out? Like, I was trying to figure out how to parent from the time I was like 8. So by the time I'm 22, I want to try to raise my own child, and I don't want your advice. Like, I don't want your advice and I don't want your help. I want this to be my baby and let me raise my kid. You know what I'm saying? And since I didn't have that with my first daughter, I super had that with my second daughter. And then I felt bad, like I'm like, I feel too connected to my second daughter to the point where I'm like, I wonder if my first kid feels this. And it's like, it's so weird because my first kid gets that, you had alone time with mommy that I never had. Like, so it's like, I don't want either one of my kids to ever feel like I have a favorite kid. Because where one of my kids got more attention from me, the other one got my bond faster. And I feel that. And I don't know if they can feel that. And so I'm anxious about that consistently to the point where I made up a song to sing to my children, and I explained to them, like, I'm gonna love you guys different because you guys are different kids. And I'm like, mommy uses her right hand and mommy uses her left hand. And there's things I do with my right hand that I don't do with my left. And things I do with my left hand that I don't do with my right. But if anybody ever cut off my hand, either hand, I would be equally in pain. Like, do you guys understand that? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and I need you guys to know that just because I love you guys differently, I still love you guys equally. And I need y'all to always feel that. And so that inside me is always there. Like, do my kids feel like I have a favorite? And I really hope that it doesn't feel that way. But I mean,
you won't know until
you won't know until one day they get in an argument in front of you and you hear them. Because I'm like, from my own perspective, when I was growing up, I didn't think my mother had a favorite until I was like, I want to say older because I was still a kid, but as far as the era of being a kid, I was on the end of childdom. And my sisters were like, call mommy. Like, every time they wanted to talk to my mom, they would come to me to call my mother. And I'm like, why are y'all doing that? And they're like, 'cause you're her favorite. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, in my mind, like, you guys all get stuff that I don't get. Like, so in my mind, we're all even. But in their mind, they're like, no. Because by the time my mother got to me, she was 4 kids deep. So all the kinks that she worked out with y'all, she didn't have when she got to me. And that's not to say that she loves us differently. It's just, by the time, she was a more experienced mom for me than for y'all.
Are you the youngest?
I am the 4th of 5.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I never felt that until they came up to me like, no, call mommy because she only answers your phone calls.
Do you think that it mattered, like, to them, or do you?
Yeah, it still comes up. That's how I know it matters. Because it still comes up. But now I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'll take it. I'm the favorite. Get over it. I don't know what to do. But I mean, and I when we're joking, I'll be like, I'm the favorite, you know. But as soon as that conversation turns serious, I'm like, no. We had different parents. Like, and my sister said it to me first, and I kept that. We have different parents. Like, your mom and my mom, DNA wise, same exact lady, but point in her life, different people.
Yeah.
And my kids have different parents too.
Yeah.
Like, cause I was a noob with my first daughter. I was, figuring out the balance between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, cause I was also a new wife too.
Mhm.
So I was juggling titles and trying to figure out how to stay a person
Mhm.
on top of be a mom, on top of be a wife. Like, that was hard to do. And now, am I struggling with it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm 10 years deep in the struggle as opposed to immediately
Yeah.
just got here.
Right.
Well, that way.
Okay. I know.
Sorry. She's like, I'm worried
That
about
wasn't,
the
no,
year.
it wasn't even towards that per se, because there was a question I had, when you were talking, previously, and Shay touched on it a little bit, because I know you guys were both newly married when you had your first, and when you had your daughter, and, I mean, that's an added element
I was just
to
gonna
it,
say, like,
yeah.
it makes sense why I was depressed, like,
Mhm.
looking, like, obviously I'm not gonna go into the details of it all, but it makes sense
Mhm.
why I was depressed.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, hold up. I mean, I'm not married, and I am a single mother. I've been raising my daughter, without the physical presence of her father. So I can only imagine what it's like to like try to navigate being a wife and being a mom and being new to both elements at the same time. So I'm sitting there thinking like, alright, I'm here by myself. Like, I had a lot of leeway in like parenting, like I didn't have anyone to go against the decisions I was making. I mean, he tried. Stay over there. He tried, but you can't do much from a distance. Like I physically have my daughter, so I will do everything that I need to do to make sure she's good. But I'm just thinking about you guys. I'm just like, wow. How did that work out for you? And like, what advice would you give to women who are in that position of, again, you're like a new woman in all these different avenues? Like, what would you say to someone who's walking into that now?
I mean, it's just one of those things, like, you just kind of have to just take it day by day.
Mhm.
Like, honestly, that's all you can do is just take it day by day. Like, choose your battles, and like, I don't know, like, you really do have to communicate, even though like, that was really challenging, I don't mind like sharing the time frame. It's just like I met my husband, and like maybe a month and a half in, I got pregnant. He proposed to me. Actually, he proposed to me before I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah, he proposed to me before I got pregnant. And I remember because I was on my cycle, I had the worst cramps in the world, and yeah, he proposed to me, and I was just like, okay, don't do this, like, alright. And then I got pregnant, so it's just like, we didn't have like a history of knowing one another, like, we were still getting to know one another, and it was hard, like, it was a lot of like mental work for me, because I knew like going into marriage, like, this is serious, like, I knew that it was something that I wanted for myself, and I believe that at that time I was ready for it.
Yeah.
And it just came with a lot of challenges. It's like, and we're still getting to know one another. And it's still very much new. Like, it'll be 2 years come this August, but it's like, I think we are in a good groove. Like, I feel like we're on the same page. Like, we want this to work, so we are putting in the work. But in the beginning, like, it may be challenging, but if it's something that you really want, like, through time, like, in counseling, because we did do some counseling, and just being around other married folks who are for or pro-married, you don't want, because obviously there was definitely, like, moments where I'm just like, maybe I made the wrong choice, I would be lying if I didn't think that, but when it really came down to it, it's like, why did I say yes, you know?
Right.
And also, you know, having my baby, like, I knew that, you know, I wanted us to be under one home, you know? And that's not why you know,
I mean, he
decided to-
proposed to you before
right,
you got pregnant.
right,
so-
but I'm just saying, you know, but yeah, so I would just say my advice would be stay divorced, you know, communicate as best as you know how, and if you don't feel like you're getting through, or, you know, you guys aren't understanding or coming to some sort of common understanding, you know, seek counsel, wise counsel. Don't just go asking your friends or someone who's biased or any of those things, or someone who is not pro-marriage, or, you know, you don't wanna just be asking your homeboy who's single, be out, just,
Right.
or who, you know, just got multiple women, or, you know, vice versa, even your homegirls, you know. You
Yeah.
want some sound wisdom, and just day by day, like,
Yeah.
things will get better, you know, or, you know, things will progress, and, you know, people, like, every day is a journey, you know. I'm still learning myself, you know, things that I want in life, you know, still working towards those things, and, you know, my husband, he wants those things as well, so, you know, we're working towards it, so. Just these things.
Good. Sound advice. I like it. Tasha and advice?
I would say, I don't know what I would say. Cause it's not like, you know, it's weird giving advice when you're in the middle of something.
Mhm.
Like, it's like starting a job, right? You start a job and you've been on the job for like a year.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And then someone new gets hired. You're still new,
Yeah.
but you know more than the person just coming in. So it's
Yeah.
weird to give advice because it's like,
Girl,
I can
you
tell
took
you,
yours in,
I
though.
can tell you what I know, but I
Right,
don't
and
got
that's
it
what I was
down.
gonna say.
Like,
You can only speak on the things
Right,
that
that
you
right.
know.
So
right.
so from me, for me, I have to remember that being a mom and being a wife are two different jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've worked two jobs before, and like in normal life, a lot of people have worked two jobs at the same time, and you figure it out just by continuing to work. That's the same thing with parenting and with marriage. This is yours, and you'll figure it out. Just keep working on it. Like, as long as you're at your job, you know, reading the manual and doing the job,
Yeah.
you'll get better at the job and it'll become easier to do it. So parenting is kind of like that in a sense where, I mean, you don't want to look at it like work, but there's work to be done. And the more you work it, the better you get at working. So, you know, you only get 6 hours of sleep. You got two options. You can edit your schedule to allow yourself more time to sleep, or you can get better at working off of 6 hours of sleep.
It's so funny you say that. Like, the management of time, like,
Yeah.
it's like, for me, it's like, are these dishes gonna get washed, or are we gonna spend some quality time, like, you know, like,
Right.
it's a lot, and then, like, man, having a 1-year-old,
I know the other day, I saw you post, you were locked yourself in the bathroom.
I did. She came in the bathroom with me. As soon as she went out, I'm like, I'm locking this door. You're not coming back in. I need my
We did
space.
read that post.
Listen, I was, that whole week, like this weekend, I really just, if I could have like
Yeah.
brought her to my mom and just left her there, I would have, but.
Tasha said she in the bathroom, ain't she?
Because I know, 'cause that's
She
where I
was,
go too.
yeah.
And then Naomi will come to the door and be like, Mom, are you hiding in the bathroom?
Yes.
Like, yes I am, please
Yeah.
go away. This is my moment. And I'm like, you know how sometimes you need time away from your sister because y'all spend too much time together? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I am your mother and I love you guys, but y'all get on my nerves sometimes.
Yeah.
And you need to go away because, and I'm very honest with my children because I'm not raising kids, I'm raising future adults. You know what I'm saying? So I need to talk to you like people because when you get older, I don't need to have to reteach you something because I told you in a little kid way before and I'm like, okay, remember that time when I said this? Well, what I really meant was,
Yeah.
no. So some things I just say. And I told my daughter, and I'm like, sometimes I'm frustrated with things that have nothing to do with me. And so mommy takes a moment away from you So I'm not mean to you for something that has nothing to do with you. So if I kick you out of my room or I go in the bathroom and I tell you to go away, what I need from you is to go away.
Yeah.
And if you stay and I'm mean to you, then I'm sorry, but that's why I told you to leave. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no.
I
Gotta do
try.
what you gotta
Yeah,
do.
exactly. Because I don't want them growing up and being like, "Oh, I put my mom through so much." No,
Right, it
it's
wasn't
it's
you.
unrelated.
Mhm.
It just so happens that it happened at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
Right, and we don't want you to be in the crosshairs.
Exactly,
I do that too with my daughter.
exactly.
It's like, I'm gonna be in my room. Can you? Where's your tablet? Like, okay, that's it.
Yep.
Because I need to like decompress a lot of the time, or like even when I pray, I'm just like, I'm just gonna be in the room praying. Knock if you need me, you know, because I don't want her to, you know, like feel like, oh, well, mommy's mad at me, or you know, whatever it is.
I have a question. I'm just thinking, like having multiples, because I do want more babies, but you know, it's a matter of like when I keep on having like this, like, oh, when Tam turns 2, like I'll start trying for another one. But it's also like I don't want to just rush into it just for the sake of like having another baby, so my baby girl can have somebody to play with, like because like I mean, like getting into this like groove now, like I feel like I have a balance, even though it's like it doesn't go as planned or it doesn't stay the same every day. I feel like it's constantly changing, or there's a lot of adjusting that goes on. But like, I mean, dealing with like depression, you know, and having 2 babies now, or you know, 2 kids who need you, or you know, like, can you like speak on that?
I get you.
Well, I only got one. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'll say it like this. There are times when having 2 is definitely easier than having 1. Because in a time where I need my alone time, I also don't want to isolate my baby. But if you have 2, you say, go over there and play together. And it makes you less like feel, yeah, you know how you feel like bothered because, oh, now my baby's alone and has no one to play with. You don't have to worry about that because she
And
does
I
have
feel
someone
that,
to play with.
That mom guilt, like, when I'm working through, like, cause I tend, like, when something's really weighing heavy on my mind, I'm moody, like, and it's so funny, I was talking to my husband, and I'm just like, I was doing a little question, like, went online, found some questions, just for conversation's sake, and I forget what the question was, but I think it was, like, along the lines I asked him, like, what can I do, more to help, I don't know, I forget how it went, but he was just like, can you nag less? And I said, like, I'm never gonna stop nagging, like, that's just the reality of it. It doesn't even hurt my feelings,
Bruh.
listen, cause he's consistently said it, but I'm just like, honey, like, you gotta think about what I'm nagging you about.
Right.
Cause he's just like, oh, if you ask me to do something, I'm gonna do it, and it's just like, if it's getting in the way of me, like, doing, like, if I actually wash the dishes and you don't wash the dishes, and it's preventing me from getting in there and cooking or doing something, like, I'm gonna come back, and now it's gonna sound like I'm nagging you. Like, I'm not gonna come back with the same tone, and that's another thing, tone, but, like, when something's weighing heavy on my mind, I get moody, you know, and I was just saying to him, like, you unfortunately get all of it because we live together, you know, like, you feel that, and it's just like, you know, he can be off doing his thing, and Tam, like, she is such a mama's girl, like, she's just shadow constantly, like, wherever I am, she wants to be. I try to, like, put up a little barrier by putting her little kitchen set to block off the kitchen so that I can do it. No, she's crying, she's hollering, she wants to be right where I am. And I got to the point where I got so frustrated, I picked her up, brought her in her room, put her in her crib, and now you're on timeout. But then it's just like that mom guilt kicks in, because now I feel bad because she's hollering, she wants me. But it's also like, I need my space. Like, in order for me to get stuff done, like, sometimes I have to put you aside, or for me to, like process, like, when I'm upset or whatever, like, cleaning helps me. Like, it's some sort of therapy, I don't know what it is. I don't know if any of you women out there can relate, but, or men, but there's something about cleaning that helps me kind of just relax. And you can't clean with a little bitty one by your side, because you pick up something, she goes right behind you, opens it, and it's a mess all over again. So I was just like frustrated. And I'm like, I hear like people say like your kids want your emotions or your energy, and I'm just like, I feel bad, but like
Don't feel
it's
bad.
like it's just
I have two things to say.
Yeah.
The first is the best advice I ever got from one mother to another was babies cry. Babies cry. You could be doing everything right and a baby will cry.
That's true.
So you can't take it personally when a baby does what babies do.
Yeah.
They're gonna cry, but you need to get the stuff done.
yeah.
And a baby will get over it eventually.
Yeah.
So if you have to, you gotta put the baby down and listen to the baby crying, then you know it is what it is. Like I had one day, and I tell this story all the time, where I did everything physically possible to get my baby to stop crying, and she cried literally and you're laughing. She cried literally all day long, and I could not figure out what was wrong with her, and I couldn't take it anymore. To the point where I just put her down. I just put her down because it's like you're gonna cry in my arms, you're gonna cry in the bassinet. You might as well cry over there, right? And then my husband came home, and he comes in the room, and he goes, "Stop crying." Yo, she was silent. She was silent, and I was like, it was relief because she stopped crying, but then it was like anger because like, how dare you have the audacity to stop crying now? Like, just because he told you to stop, and I did all of this stuff, you have the audacity to listen? Yo, I was like over it. Like, yo, I was so done.
There has to be some sort of like, I don't know, masculine energy.
There,
like,
no, there's like some scientific thing about the tone in a male's voice or whatever.
She didn't
like,
even talk about it.
Lord.
Stop crying.
Like, no, it did. I tried that. It didn't work. It had to be specifically her
Right.
father.
His voice,
It was not gonna work any other way.
That's crazy.
But my aunt was
Yeah.
like, "Yo, babies cry," and it made me feel so much better because it's like that. Her cry had nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
Like, it had nothing to do with me, and there was nothing I could have did to make it better. Like,
I guess I just have to get used to her crying.
but the other thing I was
when
gonna
she
say,
was, I'm just gonna say this and I'll let you finish.
no, you.
But I just, anytime she would cry, I just pick her up or I like soothe her. And now I'm to the point where it's just like, I'm still nursing her. And I'm working on it. They said till 2.
That's
She ain't 2 yet.
I waited till
She don't
teeth
bite.
come out.
She never has bit me. But anywho, like now I'm at the point where it's just like, I don't want her on me. So like,
Right.
now it's like, I find myself more frustrated
Yeah.
or agitated, and I'm like, you getting all of this energy, like you feel what I'm feeling, like get off of me, move, I don't want you on me. But it's again like I'm just gonna have to start hearing her cry. Like,
Mhm.
it's a matter of just because she wants what she wants.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say to the baby thing, like, should you have a second baby? It's really not up to you.
Mhm.
Like, it's really not. You can have coitus for years and not produce.
That's true.
Or you can have it one time or never, according to Mary, and still produce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So stop acting like you got a choice. Just go ahead and do your married life. And if God presents you with a baby, then He said you needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And if He doesn't, then you good.
But
Yeah.
you saying that, like, that's something that has crossed my mind. Because I really do, like, it is on God's time. And, like, when people ask me how many kids do I want, I really be like, however many God blesses me with. Because I really do believe, like, it's like, again, we think we have a choice or a
Yeah.
but in reality, it's going to happen when it's time. And I'm okay with that. Like, it's like I can make the plan, but I would rather God be like, no, you can make the plan, but I
Right.
yeah. Like, I would rather it be that way 100%.
Mhm.
He knows us.
Right.
He does.
Right.
He knows us.
So AJ,
Hey.
is there anything that, just from the male perspective, that you feel like you could have been privy to, or that you feel like you should have been let in on at some point that would have helped your wife? Or
I mean, I'm a tough cookie. So I look at things a little differently because I understand that there are chemical imbalances, but I'm a person that this is just me. I can't speak for all men, but I'm a person where I believe that like we have a choice. We have a choice on how we handle things. So for me, like, yes, I would do certain things to try to help my wife out. Other things, there were things I couldn't really do. Like, emotionally, if she's having a moment, like, I can take the kids. I can do that. I can watch the kids. The funny story is, like, her watching the kids is different from me watching the kids. And because, like what Crochet was saying, it really didn't matter what I did. Because when she looks at me, she's gonna be like, oh, you're not even watching them the way. Because for me, like, I was like, oh, I've always had little kids around. Like, my mom's house was the house that all the kids went to. So me and my sister would do most of the babysitting of all of our younger cousins. So I'm like, I can play video games and watch kids, like, cause all I gotta do is feed you, change you, and then play with you a little bit.
Yeah.
So what I did was I put a bouncer by my feet, I bounced my child, they were facing me, I played my video games, and I was having a good old time.
But are they crying? You know what I mean? Like,
they're not.
He's doing the job, so like, I don't know.
That didn't bother me. You know what it was? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That didn't bother me. What bothered me was if I'm like tired and he sees I'm tired, so he's like, "Oh, baby, I'll take the baby. I'll put her to sleep."
Oh.
And he would take the baby and put her to sleep. But it was just like she was in a safe location and he was rocked. And I would walk in and see my wide awake baby and my sleeping husband and be mad because I'm like, you were gonna put her to sleep and she's not sleeping. So I can't sleep because if she ends up being hungry or something like that, like, I'm not you. I don't know if you're gonna wake up to her crying because you got dad ears, not mom ears. So I'm gonna take my baby back, and we're gonna.
So to defend myself, and also just to add a funny story. So like, the time she's talking about is basically like what I would do is like, because all right, so skin to skin contact is very important for newborns. They tell you this when you go to the doctor. So I would put my daughter on my chest to put her to sleep. So usually put her on my chest, she lays there for a little bit, she goes to sleep. So what happened at this particular time is I laid down so she could lay on my chest. So she laid on my chest. She got tired. She laid her head down, she got comfortable. I got comfortable as well. But what happened was whatever energy she had, she passed it to me. And I ended up falling asleep, and she stayed awake.
She did not go to sleep. She was wide awake.
So,
having a good old time.
when my wife comes back in the room, what happened was my wife comes back in the room, I'm asleep, she picks up the baby, she puts her in her bassinet, she puts her to sleep. So, but I'm asleep, so I don't know this. So I wake up frantically, thinking I dropped the baby. Like, I am losing it. Like, where is she at? I had her. She was right here.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, no. I was trying to do my best.
It's funny now as a story, but in that moment I was not laughing. I was not excited.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, with all that, you know, we go through as moms, you know, I don't think that's a job that just never ends. Once you have that child, you're always a mom, you know.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I love being a mommy.
It is.
I look at her
nice.
every day and I'm just like, I love being your mommy. Like, I love you.
It is nice, but I mean, even with that, you know, that's the only job that you'll have that you work your entire life. So how do we make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and we're giving ourselves grace and giving ourselves time to, you know, care for ourselves and make sure that we are a whole human in order to, you know, continue to be these great moms? How do you do self-care and do all that? Or do you?
I was gonna say, I don't think I
You
take the
need
time
to.
that I need.
You need to.
And
I'll let you know right now.
and it's, I'm there, like, I crave it. It's just, I really do have to get Tambourine because Like, my mom, she doesn't mind like taking her and her staying the night, but it's just like, she's gonna cry, you know, it's like, she's just not gonna go to sleep. She's great up until it's time to go to sleep, and that's a challenge, and for me, like, as her mom, it's just like, I don't get rest in knowing that my baby could be screaming her head off,
Yeah.
you know, and my mom, she's totally capable of handling it, but again, like, for me, I just don't feel comfortable with knowing that she's not completely weaned, and I know she wants me, so it's like, just having that peace, like, oh, like,
Yeah.
I can get away for a little bit, but it's just, I have to be more intentional.
Yes, carve out the time.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
And that's something that I'm working on, time management, all the things, just schedules, balance, married life, like, that's another thing, cause it's just like, so much of my time, and then being, like I work at home, my baby's home with me, she's with me 24/7. So it's like, I'm used to it, like, that's my new norm, but it's just like, when I do have alone time, it's like that balance of, you know, being married, like a newlywed, and it's just like, where do I find that time, you know, and it's like, I don't know, like, give me some pointers.
No, I agree with you fully. And it's funny because I was just having a conversation with my sister and about, she was just saying that I'm different when I'm by myself than when I'm with my husband. And I'm like, that's because when I'm with my husband, I'm a wife. Like, when I'm with my kids, I'm a mom. When I'm with my husband, I'm a wife. But when I'm by myself, I'm myself. But not only that, but when I'm with my sisters, I'm the younger sister. So it's like, you think that I'm different because you only know me when you're with me. You know what I'm saying? You know your little sister Tasha, but there's still Tasha alone. There's Tasha husband and wife Tasha. There's Tasha mom and kids Tasha. Like, you only know one of me, and so you're gonna feel like I'm acting different, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I've been with me all the time. I know all of the me's.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. I'm still me. I'm just me on the job. Just like you have code switching for your work and your home life,
Yeah.
there's code switching for mom life and not. Like, especially when you're the type of mom who like doesn't swear in front of their kids or doesn't say certain, because not every mom's like that.
Yeah.
There's certain topics I'm not gonna have in front of my children.
Right.
Same way, there's certain things I'm not gonna do in front of my husband. Like, there's certain conversations I'm not gonna have, certain like language I'm not gonna use, like the wording, the way that I talk, like I'm not gonna be that because I'm still working. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like understanding that part of me was important in reminding myself that I'm still me. Because it's like, you get lost. You have kids and you have, you know, your husband, and you're like, okay, I'm a mom and a wife now. No, you're not.
Right.
You're not a mom and a wife now. You're still you. You just also are these two titles. It's like getting a promotion at work, where you're like, okay, I'm the manager, so I'm not a cashier. Oh yeah, you are, because let this line get long enough, and they're gonna be like, MOD, come on down,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to open up that register. Whatever your title was before, you're still that. You just gotta take off the other hats, clock out sometimes, and it's hard because, like, you know, my single mom friends, they only got one hat to take off. So as soon as they're kid free, they're like, yeah, hats off. And then my just married friends, only have one hat. So their husband's on a cruise or playing golf or just having a boys' night. They're poop, hat off, let's go. And I am like, hold on. I need somewhere to put my children. I gotta wait for my husband to make his own plans, because I can't be like, hey honey, I got some plans for you, get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to wait till everyone else is doing something that doesn't concern me, and then take off both hats. So just taking off one hat is not enough, and just like when I was working 2 jobs, I had to line up my days off.
Yeah.
When you do your availability, when you first sign up, you're like, these are my days off. And every single job you apply to has to have the same availability, Because if you get one job and you're like, okay, on Saturdays I only work one job, and other people will be like, oh, that's a break because instead of working 2 jobs, you're working 1. No, it's not. You're still working that day. You're working less hours, but you're working that day, and it still counts as a work day, and you haven't had a vacation, you haven't had any time off, and you don't get to stay up all night because you got work in the morning still. Like, and it's the same way where I need to intentionally, like you say, schedule that time where I align up my availability. Okay, if you need me after this time, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I'm off the clock. Everyone needs time off the clock for everything,
Right.
where you can take off your hats and just
I
be.
feel like this is a different, like what I'm getting ready to say is like a different discussion, but like for me, it's like when I do have like alone time or like or windows of like time for me,
Mhm.
I find myself like filling that time with spending time with someone. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but like I still don't allow myself that just shade time, like just me by myself, you know, just alone with my thoughts, you know, alone with the Lord, you know.
Yeah.
I don't allow that for myself, and I feel like that would help in a lot of other areas.
Yeah.
Because when I'm talking to the source who can help me, you know, navigate my life, my world. But yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. Like you absolutely should, because the best example or the best advice that I had been given, and I hold true to that, is the whole mask theory. Like when you're on a plane, like they tell you to put your mask on first and then help, you know, the other people, help the people who are in your row. And it's like, it's true, like make sure you're getting oxygen for yourself, make sure you're taking care of yourself, make sure you're eating right, make sure you're carving time out to like just maybe for the 22 minutes of a sitcom, tune out and like just be alone with yourself or whatever it is, whatever is going to suit you. Do that, because I mean, and I can say it from experience, and it took me maybe the first 3 years of my daughter's life to like really do it. But like I remember the first time I ever let her like stay the night with her grandmother, the rejuvenation that I felt, I felt like I felt like I could take on the world when she came back home. Like I was able to balance like the laundry, the like making sure she was, you know, bathed and all that, and I was like, I couldn't believe that that's all it took, like one night away for me to be like, oh my gosh, like I can actually do this, and I can do it well, you know. So I definitely implore women to like really, you know, tap into your village, you know, be it your husband, your, you know, your family members, your friends, whoever you trust, obviously.
Yeah.
And if you can, whatever it takes, if it's just going for a drive, like if it's just sitting in the yard, like whatever it is that will help you to just like center yourself, or, you know, prayer, like whatever it is. Or even like, I remember one time I went to service by myself and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like such a stark contrast of like having to focus on her and her needs and not pay attention to, like, it used to drive me nuts. And like I remember there was a time like I stopped going to church and I'm like, all I'm doing is like catering to her diapers and her feedings. I'm like, I ain't heard nothing that the pastor said, you know. So like even like those small things, and I, you know, if you can, just do it. Not even if you can, just do it.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Like that will not only, you know, benefit your child, but I can only assume it benefits your spouse as well when you just give yourself the opportunity to like, yes, you know, and then be able to come back and like, you know, be that refreshed person. So but like before we sign out, I just wanted to like give you guys the opportunity to take the floor. If there's anything else that you could say to moms, new moms, seasoned moms, anything that you want to say out there to the ladies.
I would just say, like, you are doing a good job. Like, I feel like a lot of times
That was good.
you don't hear it, or, you know, sometimes you don't think that you're doing a good job, but you are doing a good job. Like, being there, being present, and showing up day after day, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know, like, you're showing up, you're taking care of the baby. And it's rewarding, you know, like, it is rewarding. Just take it one day at a time. Don't focus so much on tomorrow. Don't focus on what happened or what should have been or any of those things. Just be present. You know, 'cause what I'm learning is that this time is short, you know, short-lived. So give yourself grace. You know, utilize the village. Utilize your village. You know, and everything's gonna be okay. Everything will be okay.
It was pretty.
Taking a break is a part of parenting too. Because when your kids get older and they become parents, they're gonna feel how you're feeling now. And you're gonna wanna tell them, take a break. And you have to be able to say that honestly and know that it works. So if you're gonna want your future children to not feel overstressed and want them to take a break, then you have to first take your own advice and take that break.
So I thank you ladies for being on with me today. I'm actually getting a call from our
You getting a phone call?
fearless leader. But right now we have the soft-spoken prophet on the line, Mr. AJ Bayman, tuning in with us to hopefully give some feedback. Can you hear us, AJ? Oh, hold up. All right.
You still connected?
Yes. Hey there.
Right, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
What up, though?
Yo, so I had a question.
Ooh, okay, go ahead.
I don't know if I heard it right. But I hear you guys talking about the need to take a break. It sounds like what you guys are talking about basically is balance, in that being, you know, I heard Tasha say, it's hard to balance, you know, who she is when she's with her kids and she's a mom, and then that, like outside of that, when she's with her husband, she's a wife, and she's by herself, she's trying to figure out who it is that she is. Is that what you're saying?
I was saying that I'm me always, but I'm just me in different roles. I'm me as a wife, I'm me as a parent, and I'm me as a person too. And that I can't be, I'm not fully my alone hat if I'm still wearing my parent hat or my wife hat. I have to take those hats off at the same time in order to actually get back to me. That makes sense.
But no, okay. No, I hear what you're saying. So my question was, and I guess maybe to everybody, the three of you, because I think a lot of people sort of struggle to find themselves, and you know what I mean, and so I know you guys were married early, and so maybe while you were you got married, and then while you're being a wife, you're sort of figuring out life and who you are. So my question in terms of in terms of the subject, in terms of mental health, is that how are you able to successfully find yourself while you're filling the roles of who you are? How do you you're a wife, you're a mom, you're all these things, but then how do you figure out who the real you is at the same time without having a breakdown?
There's no real way to do that. You just got to go through the breakdown. I feel but after I got through the breakdown, because sometimes it just takes that. I realized that the reason why I felt like I wasn't who I was before was because my me time was rushed. And who I am when I'm by myself is very creative. And it's just like you ever write a song and you're pressed for time, you can't really force that creativity. So I couldn't force myself to be myself. Like, I had to be alone long enough for myself to kick in. Like, you know, I don't like the things I used to like because I don't feel like I have enough time to finish what I would have done had I had the open time period to do it. Because when I wasn't a mom and I wasn't a wife, it wasn't like the time was gonna run out for me to be me. But like, if I'm coloring a picture, I don't want my kids to come home before I finish coloring the picture. And I don't want to start cleaning and then they come home and it's not done. So I felt like I don't know what I like to do, but I still like all the same stuff. I just had to allow myself enough time to want to be me, if that makes sense.
That makes
Okay,
sense.
great.
It does.
Shay.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was.
I'm still processing.
I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, it took me a while, and I feel like I'm still navigating through that right now, just like figuring out who I am and what my likes and my dislikes are. There's a lot of things that I did that I just cannot do anymore as a mother. Like, I can't do it. Like, solo travel had to be minimized, you know what I mean? And that's okay, you know what I mean? Just the things that I like are, like she had said, like Tasha had said, are still the things that I like, but it's just like figuring it out in a way where I can still address those things and like make the time to fulfill my role as a mother. You know, like for instance, I look at some of my posts from back in the day. Like, I was heavy with my NBA following. I knew the play. Like, I was heavy with my teams. I followed all the games. And like, you know, you become a mom. It's like, I ain't got no time to watch the regular season games, and like, I don't even know who's on what team anymore. Like, all those things kind of shifted. Like, I still appreciate basketball. I still enjoy watching or going to games, but it's just different. Like, it's not something that I can do the way that I once did. And that's okay, but it's like finding, like, I've introduced my daughter to basketball now, so that, like, you know, perhaps we'll both enjoy those NBA games together, but right now there's just like a pivot. Like, I can't do what I used to do, but, you know, still trying to adhere to those things that I do like, but really my primary focus is being a mom.
Yeah,
So
it is interesting, and I don't know, it's challenging, and just to answer the question, like, I just wanna say, it's like, I feel like things also shift when you begin your relationship with Christ, because
Oh, 100%.
you know,
Absolutely.
there's a
Yeah.
like, you're shedding of your
Yeah.
old self, so it's like, the things that you were once interested in are changing, and
Totally.
then sometimes it's not an easy just shed, like, it's a process of like eliminating that thing, that you enjoyed or, you know, kinda still want in your life,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then it's just like with kids, like, I feel like until they get to like a certain age, like, depending on what it is or what the activity is or the hobby or whatever, that it's on pause,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
And for me, I didn't like have hobbies, like, I was just home, like, I was never really in any extracurricular activities, like, so outside of just being at home, or like, my favorite thing to do is to be around family, or, you know, be around just people who bring positive energy, positive vibes, or, you know, just to hang out, have a good time. So it's just like, I don't have no thing that is just like me, you know? So it's easy for me to just, like, now I feel like I'm just a homebody. I'm very social, like, I enjoy, you know, going places and doing different things, but it's just like, now it's like, I'm a wife, you know, I'm a mom, I wanna, you know, and I'm a newlywed, like,
Right.
still, like, I wanna do things with my husband, create memories with my husband.
Right.
But, you know, with us kind of, you know, like I joke, I think the last time, like, we're on that borderline of married at first sight type of
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
or like love at first sight, like, you know, we just went into the marriage, and it's just like, our interests are different, because we love one another, we're willing to try one another life, but it's like, still, like, I'm still navigating, like, that identity, like, that's where that me time comes in, and it's just like, I'm so used to just calling my sisters, or, you know, calling, you know, or going over someone's house in those moments where I have time for myself. Like, I don't know what it is to just be by myself. And I like to think that I'm a creative person, but I don't allow myself to kind of go there,
Right.
you know, and I think for me, fear also plays a part in it, because it's like, I'm afraid of failing, so it's like, I won't even allow myself to try, or like, I'll start something and I won't finish it. And I have a list of things that I've started and I just didn't finish. And I think it has a lot to do with fear. So for me, like, I'm still figuring it out, so I don't think there's no answer, because, again, like, a lot of people are still finding themselves or figuring, you know, themselves out, and adding a child, that kind of complicates it too, you know, and I feel like a lot of times parents have to put, you know, or I mean, dads, y'all can speak on that, but I feel like moms have to, a lot of the times, put a lot of their wants to the back burner to kind of just show up as mom, as, you know, wife, you know, so it's challenging. I know that I'll get there and I will figure it out, but I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, and I think that that's okay, especially since, like, when you know, you take off the hats and you are who you are, you realize that, you know, you don't know what you like, or you gotta find that. But if you never got married and you didn't have kids, that would be a journey you'd have to take anyway.
Absolutely.
Because even when you're young and, you know, not worried about any of that relationship stuff anyways, like just primary school, you're still trying to figure out what you like. And that's a part of your you time.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, you don't know what food you like until you taste it.
Yeah.
You gotta just jump, pick a thing, say, oh, I never did this before, and then just do it. It's okay if you fail, because failing's not actually failing. Failing is figuring out one more thing about yourself.
Right.
Like, you went to pottery and you sucked at it. Well, that's something new you didn't know yesterday. Like, it's just a different kind of success.
Yeah.
Well, we do appreciate you. I think he had disconnected. But we appreciate that question that came in from AJ. He called in just to chime in on the conversation. Oh, of course.
I just wanted to ask you, because I've said the best advice I've had before. She said the best advice she's had before. What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
The best advice that anyone has ever given me?
Yeah, or the most used advice you've gotten so far.
I'm gonna come back on that one.
Next time,
No, I really do appreciate the conversation. I feel like we could probably go a lot longer. I feel like there's some things that we didn't get to talk about. So I am gonna make sure that you guys are able to come back again and we can carry on the conversation. I'm just gonna kick the guys out and just do my own thing. So. I mean, we gotta keep you like, we gotta keep our producer back there. But again, was there anything else in closing, AJ, that you wanted to share? Or?
Just to give a shout out to all the moms out there that are doing it. Like, postpartum is tough. I think women have a rough go at it. Just going by statistics, there are single fathers out there that go through the same thing and similar things as well. But not to speak about them today. But yeah, so like I think it's tough, and I think it's admirable the job that you guys do, and I can't say I would do it because I've never been put in that shoe before. I've always, since I've had my children, I've always been married. My wife has always held up the standard and carried the torch, whether I fell asleep or not. So I appreciate her. I appreciate all the mothers out there. To my mother as well, and to all of you all's mothers, like mothers all around.
Mothers out there.
Right, like there's a lot of respect that goes to moms. We got Father's Day coming up in a couple weeks, and then we'll tackle dads, and then I get to talk, and we can talk our stuff.
We will. That'll be fun to talk about as well. So just one more plug. This Friday at our church, Deliverance Center Ministries, 336 Springfield Street in Springfield, Massachusetts, we are having a testimony service. Again, I will be speaking. That'll be my first time. Excited, nervous, and all that at the same time. But the connoisseur of conversation, AJ Bayman, will be speaking as well that night. So just ask that you guys come out and support. I would appreciate it. I'm sure he would as well. But with all that being said, if all hearts,
One more thing.
yes, sir.
Before all hearts and minds are clear.
Yes.
Spread the word.store.
Oh,
Get
yes.
your Christian apparel, get the word, just so you can start with your icebreaker, your conversation by wearing the clothing.
Yes. So again, you know, I don't remember what the closing is, so we just gonna say something about being ashy and using
So-
lotion, like.
Listen, ask your souls.
And then
Yeah,
what
let
is
the
it?
Lord
Let
be the
Jesus be the lotion
There you go.
that
Lathers
lathers your
soul?
ashy soul. Something
Something
like
like
that.
that. Something like that.
You're doing
Alright,
great.
thank you for tuning in tonight. We love you guys. Have a good night.
Later.
Oh, Lord.
Are we on the air? Can I still see it?
Yes.